And now back to KDLM Hodge Podge, also airing on Lakes TV3.
10 minutes to 9, mostly sunny, 64 degrees in Detroit Lakes. This is Hodge Podge on the station you can count on, 1340 KDLM. And our guest this morning is Carl Koenig, the Becker County AIS coordinator from the Becker County Soil and Water Conservation District. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, JT.
Glad to have you on. So let's talk briefly about Long Lake. It was discovered that zebra mussels, and the DNR confirmed this, I believe, just last week, that zebra mussels were discovered in Long Lake. So let's talk just a little bit about that, what that means for the folks on Long Lake.
That's right. The DNR did confirm zebra mussels. They found adult mussels in multiple locations on the lake. So that would indicate that they've likely been there reproducing for a couple of years. For folks on the lake or who use the lake there, it may be a couple more years before the population is really abundant enough for them to be noticeable. But given how well zebra mussels have done in some other lakes very close to Long Lake, it's likely that their numbers will increase pretty significantly in the next couple of years, leveling off probably 5 or 6 years out from now. But it's hard to predict because each lake is unique, and really they all respond kind of in their own unique way to a new plant or animal that finds its way in.
Have there been any advancements in controlling some of the populations of zebra mussels and some of the aquatic invasive species?
There is work being done on that, mostly through the University of Minnesota. They have an aquatic invasive species research center. Also, the United States Geologic Survey works on that. But, that science moves ahead pretty slowly. I think in a small contained area, if zebra mussels were found, say, in a small bay or, a more limited population, not throughout a lake, some tools have been improved. But as far as controlling zebra mussels in open water, in a large lake, or even a relatively small lake like Long Lake, we're still years out from any kind of tools that would be effective to control them in a large body of water.
We're speaking with Carl Koenig from the Becker County Soil and Water Conservation District, and there are some grant opportunities on some lakes in Becker County right now, aren't there?
Yes, we're just getting ready to mail out a postcard and do some social media communication about this, but the DNR is working with us to do a pilot project with a handful of lakes in the area. This project is related to the sale of used dock and lift equipment. Dock and lift equipment is certainly a pathway for zebra mussels and other invasive species to move from lake to lake when this equipment is taken out of the water and sold or given to folks who live on other lakes. This equipment, of course, is installed in the lake. These hard surfaces are ideal habitat for zebra mussels. And in Minnesota, all of that equipment is required to be out of the water and dried for 21 days before it can be moved to a new lake. Some research done by the state showed that there really wasn't a high level of awareness of that law. So they're working with some local groups to really address that. So what we hope to do is communicate directly with folks who live on Lake Sally and Melissa for this first round of this pilot project with a postcard mailer, and also through the Lake Association's Facebook account. We're going to encourage folks to remember to follow that 21-day dry law, and we're also going to offer some cash reimbursement payments for folks who may be having dock and lift equipment that they want to sell or upgrade. Anyone on either Lake Sally or Melissa who has dock and lift equipment that will be offered for sale or is going to be moved to another lake because the property owner maybe bought a new property, they can work with us to have up to $400 of cost associated with removing that equipment with a lake service provider business and cleaning it and storing it off-site. Information about that is going to be mailed directly to the parcel owners on those lakes here in the next week or so. And depending on how the evaluation of this goes and how well it's received in the future, that may be expanded to all of the zebra mussel infested lakes in the county.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that a lot of people don't know that they need to dry and store their docks or their lifts when they're transporting them to a different body of water. In fact, this happened at our lake place last year. A neighbor bought a new lift, and it came from another body of water. And of course, my mom, being on the Lake Association board, she walked over there and said, "Hey, you can't put that in the water unless it's been sitting out for a certain amount of time." And the neighbors had no idea. I mean, they bought this new lift. They were excited to put it in the water, and then it sat there in the driveway for a month. So interesting that a lot of people still don't know that you need to do that.
Yep, and the DNR has identified that kind of information gap, and we hope to start working on that with them and raising that awareness.
Carl Koenig is our guest today on Hodge Podge. He's the Becker County AIS coordinator. And with just a couple minutes left we have in the program today, Carl, some volunteer opportunities with you. What are the opportunities, and how can we get involved?
Yes, we are, for the third year in a row, going to be working with University of Minnesota Extension on an event called Starry Trek. Starry Trek is a volunteer monitoring opportunity. The purpose of this event is to identify new populations of an invasive algae called starry stonewort. Starry stonewort was found first in Minnesota in 2015 at Lake Coronis. Since that time, it's been found in 13 additional lakes. And a couple of those discoveries were made by volunteers at this event. In 2017, volunteers down in the St. Cloud area at Grand Lake actually found a very small patch of this starry stonewort, and they've been successful at limiting the spread of that just through hand pulling at the access site. I know more in our area in Beltrami County, volunteers had found starry stonewort at lakes locally here in Hubbard and Beltrami County also. So it's a simple exercise to just go to a public access and look for plants, but it's actually proven very valuable. If folks are interested, anyone can participate. We ask that you register by August 6th for this event. To register, you go to starrytrek.org and then select the Becker County or Detroit Lakes event. There's folks all over the state hosting events there, but for our area, you'll want to find Becker Soil and Water Conservation District. We'll host a really brief training on the morning of August 15th in our parking lot, and then folks will just be assigned a lake access or two. You can go out there with, we provide all the training and equipment. You can go out there and just kind of walk the shoreline and pull in some samples of plants with a rake head tossed out on a rope. And then if anything seems suspect, those samples come back to me for identification.
What are some of the rules and regulations for transporting some plant material? You see a lot of people cleaning up their beaches and stuff. Are you allowed to take that off-site and dispose of it, or what are some of the rules and regulations? Whether it's starry stonewort or just the average weed that you're pulling, what are some of the rules and regulations involved with that?
Yeah, transporting lake water, plants, animals from the lake is a regulated, activity. If folks just want to clean up their beaches and compost those things on site on their own property, that's fine. But if you are going to haul that stuff to a different location, check out the DNR website. You can issue yourself a permit through the DNR's website. Just simply print that off, fill out the information about where the material is coming from and where it's going, and sign off on that. And then you're legal to move that stuff off site. That covers, those large mystery snails that are in many of our lakes here, and any kind of aquatic plants. Also, for folks who may have pontoons or watercraft that are tied up in our lakes and have zebra mussels attached to them, you can print off a permit on the DNR's website that would allow you to take that out of the lake in the fall and back to your property or any address for cleaning. So,
oh, interesting. So you need to get a permit to move your pontoon from the lake, maybe to, let's say you live in Fargo or something, want to store it in your garage. You actually need a permit for that.
You need a permit for it if there's prohibited invasive species like zebra mussels attached to it. As long as it's clean, of course, then that's not required. But if it does need to be transported somewhere for cleaning, those are, of course, illegal to transport without that permit.
Sure. Interesting. A lot of rules and regulations, but all for the benefit of our bodies of water and to keep the lakes area beautiful.
That's right. It does seem like, a lot to understand with, how to stay on the right side of the law with transporting, boats and dock and lift equipment. But as long as you are cleaning equipment off, that goes for, animals, plants, anything from the lake, clean it off before you leave the access site and drain out water. That pretty much covers what you need to understand as far as just the day use of watercrafts.
Carl Koenig, the Becker County AIS coordinator, thank you so much for your time.